Hello, hello, and welcome. We are just about ready to get started here. So while we're letting a few more people join in, why don't you go ahead and say hello over in the chat box? Why don't you find that chat box and say hello and let me know where it is you're joining us from today. Where in the world are you from? Well, wherever you're from, I'm excited to be with you here. We're just about ready to get started. So, you have joined us for our continuing education series. And this is an 8 class series where we dive into all things about health, essential oils, nutrition, and help you to take your education beyond the basics. My name is Charla Snow. I'm part of your doTERRA support team. I have been using essential oils for about 8 years. I am the mom of 4 kids, and I am also a health coach and have done quite extensive research and training in nutrition and also in essential oils. And it is my pleasure to be your guide this evening as we jump into class number 2. So last time we went and dove into all of the essential oil foundations and kind of laid that foundation. And today we are moving forward to talk about daily vitality. So the foundation and root of wellness starts in our cells, in your cellular health. And we have literally trillions of cells in our body that make up all of our tissues and our organs in our body. And our lifestyle is what has a huge impact on our cells and on our overall well-being. Our daily vitality, when we talk about daily vitality, it is dependent upon our ability to be able to make certain lifestyle choices or changes in 4 specific key areas that we're going to be talking about tonight. And these 4 areas are nutrition, our nutrient intake, metabolizing enzymes, cleansing waste and toxins, and creating a healthy intestinal flora. So these are the 4 areas that we're going to be discussing tonight. And we're going to start with nutrition and spend the bulk of our time talking about nutrition. So I love this image, and very likely that you've seen this before, if not dozens of times before, because I talk about this almost on every call. But if you look at this, what is the foundation? This represents our wellness pyramid. And what do you see as the foundation for wellness? I want you to think about building a house. Would you build a house and spend literally hundreds of thousands of dollars to construct a home if it didn't have a stable foundation? And I'm sure the answer would be no, right? We wouldn't want to build a structure on a weak or an unfinished foundation. And yet this is what we are often doing with our bodies. As you see from this image, we love our essential oils, right? And we use them on a daily basis in our home, and they're a huge part of our wellness practice and our wellness lifestyle. But you see here, essential oils are not the foundation. Eating right, getting proper exercise, managing stress, getting enough sleep, reducing toxins in our life, these are the foundation of health. And this is why we talk about nutrition in this class tonight, because we can use all the essential oils in the world and get fantastic results. But can you imagine what will happen when you use them in partnership with creating these lifestyle changes and in conjunction with a really healthy diet rich in nutrients? How do we go about actually specifically adopting this model of wellness? Because we talk about it all the time. How do we go about attacking this? And it's just like exercise, right? If we're going to get results through exercise, we have to get we have to do it consistently. We can't exercise once a week and expect to get good results. And similarly, we can't eat a nutritious meal once a week and expect to get good results. Everything that we do is compounded over time. Okay? I want to say that again. Everything that we do is compounded over time. Chronic disease doesn't happen in a day. We don't wake up one day with a chronic diagnosis or with chronic disease. That gets created day in and day out, maybe probably not noticing, right? And if we want to be healthy, we have to be proactive. We have to look at what are the two biggest things that are in our control, and those two things are diet and exercise. So what does it even mean to eat right? You see that here on the bottom of the pyramid, eat right. What does that mean? Do we even get the nutrients that we need from our food? Is it possible to actually eat right and be able to prevent deficiency diseases? And this is a very, very good question. Is it even possible? And for the majority of people, the answer is no. And I'm going to show you why in just a few minutes and what we can do about that. So, is supplementation necessary? Well, the truth is that we do not get enough vitamins and minerals. We do not get enough omega-3 fatty acids. We're not getting nearly enough antioxidants. We're not getting enough anti-inflammatories. And these are things that, generally speaking, our bodies are not going to produce on their own. And if our body is not producing them, we need to get them from food. But if we're not going to get them from food, where are we going to get them from? Where are we going to get these essential nutrients? So there's been some studies on whether or not people are actually getting enough nutrients from their foods. And I'll give you a couple of these statistics. 87% of Americans consume less than the 2.5 cups of vegetables that they need to per day. And 75% of Americans consume less than the recommended 2 cups of fruit per day. So right there alone, you know they're not getting enough, antioxidants or vitamins or even minerals, right? So 75 to 87% are not getting fruits and vegetables. The same is true with whole grains, 85%. Now here's the most important, I think, statistic. Over 90% of Americans are missing one or more key nutrient. Now, when we talk about this, don't think of it like, I'm just not getting enough to live optimally. No, that doesn't mean that they're receiving less than the amount that they need for optimal health. What this means is that 90% of people are receiving less than the minimum amount necessary to be able to prevent deficiency diseases. All right? 90% of Americans are missing nutrients that prevent deficiency diseases. Is it any wonder why we are such a sick society? So one of the things I'm going to go back a slide here. There's a lot of reasons for this, right? Our foods are highly processed. We're eating out a ton. We are rarely cooking at home anymore. But beyond that, even if you're eating at home and you're doing your best to prepare really nutritious and nutritiously dense meals for your family, there's something else that's going on. And this is something that I wasn't aware of until, more recent years. And that is that our nutrients, our soil has been so depleted of nutrients that it's not even providing us with the nutrient value that it used to. In fact, because of the modernization of the food industry, because of large-scale farming practices, there's been the soil has been so degraded in nutrients and less nutritious in the end product that actually eating the same diet today as 50 years ago would have given you twice the nutrition that it does today. Isn't that fascinating and a little sad at the same time? So there's been studies that have been done on this that have shown that this is true. which I'm happy to provide you with. But one study was in 2009, and they came to the conclusion, looking at the historical nutrient data from fruits, from vegetables, and they looked at data over 50 to 70 years, that across the board, we have less minerals, less vitamins, less protein in various food groups, and seeing that anywhere from 5 to 40% and more decrease in these essential nutrients that we need. So really, there is sufficient evidence that supplementation should be considered as prevention for deficiency diseases. That makes sense, right? And actually, Harvard School of Public Health actually says that taking and using supplementation is great nutrition insurance policy. So it just makes sense that if 90% of people are missing something, some nutrient that is necessary for preventing deficiency diseases, that supplement's going to be necessary. And even if we're doing our best to cook really, really well, our food doesn't contain the nutrition that it used to. All right. So let me show you just case in point. Let's look at a specific diet for a day. All right. So I had somebody who was kind to send me her diet for the day, which I analyzed. And I want you to tell me first, just in listening to this, if you would say this is a really healthy diet, and maybe even compare it to how you eat. Is this healthier or less healthy than how you would eat? So this particular person had 1 egg, Greek yogurt, and a cup of coffee for breakfast. For lunch, she had a salad with hummus, crackers, and a banana. All right, so far, really nothing processed except for the crackers. She's eating whole foods, nutrient-dense foods like protein with her yogurt, protein with her egg, a good healthy salad with hummus for more protein. She has fruit in there. She's got her bananas. For her snack, she had more fruit. She had an apple and a handful of almonds. And for dinner, she prepared chicken with a nice big side of broccoli and had a dinner roll. So to me, this sounds like how I would be eating if I was working, and striving to eat a pretty healthy diet meal for the day, So what do you think? Does this sound healthy or not healthy? Well, it is, but let me just show you what it actually works out to be in terms of nutrients. Okay, so for essential nutrients overall, she did really well in the protein department. So that's that bottom left side where you see all those green boxes. So she's getting enough protein, perfectly. Okay, no problems there at all. And when you look at the macros and you look at the carbohydrates, they might be a little on the low side. If you look at the fats, they might be a little bit on the low side. Proteins are good, a little on the high side. So we're just looking at macros there, right? But look on the right-hand column and let's look at our micros. Look at our nutrients. What's the vitamin B? What are the vitamin Bs doing? Well, vitamin B, B1, B5, B6, B12, and folate are all deficient. B2 and B3 are okay, but vitamin B1, 5, 6, and 12, along with folate, are deficient. In fact, folate's at 49%. And again, not 49% of what it takes to be optimal health, 49% of what it takes to prevent deficiency diseases, okay? Vitamin B12, 59%. Vitamin B1, 65%. Okay, let's look at minerals. Every single one of the minerals here in this graph are deficient except for selenium. So calcium, copper, iron, magnesium, manganese, phosphorus, potassium, zinc, sodium, all on the low side. In fact, one of the iron, 34%, potassium, 31%. And look up at the vitamins. What do you see with vitamin D? Vitamin D, 10%. I want to talk more about vitamin D in just a second. So let's just look at what do these things do and what are these things preventing? I can't go into all of it. We could be here for an hour if we looked at all of these specific vitamins and minerals and what they actually do and prevent. But let's just pick out some of the big ones, right? So your vitamin Bs are super important building blocks, really crucial. We need to have ample vitamin Bs. But let's look at, let's see, vitamin C, which she actually did well in vitamin C. Some people, eat the fruit and some don't. So if you're not eating the recommended amount of fruit every day, you might be low in vitamin C, and low levels of vitamin C are really detrimental, and that needs to be a priority for sure, because deficiency can result in scurvy, and or just feeling really super fatigued, lethargic, not having your immune system working properly. Let's look at vitamin D, because that one was at 10%, right? So vitamin D is so important for the regulation of calcium and phosphorus absorption. It's so important for the maintenance of bones and teeth, and really important to protect us against certain diseases like cancer, like diabetes, right? So vitamin D absolutely needs to be supplemented, because every single person that I've ever done an analysis on has been low and deficient in vitamin D. It is also really super important for preventing cardiovascular disease. All right, let's look at vitamin K. So her vitamin K was good, but some people don't have a very high level of vitamin K, and that can actually result in heavy menstrual bleeding. Vitamin E is really important for protecting us against Alzheimer's. And it's also really important for the transmission of nerve impulses and can cause muscle weakness. Folic acid, when we have folic acid deficiency, the red blood cells can become abnormally large, right? We see anemia. So folic acid has many, many important functions, uses in the body. Low iron can result in heart problems. Potassium, also tired or cramping arms and legs. I mean, the list goes on and on. Magnesium, oh my goodness, you guys, magnesium is at 52% here, is a cofactor for more than 300 enzyme systems that regulate different biochemical reactions in our body, like protein synthesis, muscle and nerve function, blood glucose levels, blood pressure regulation. Magnesium is required for energy production. And some of the classic signs when there's deficiency would be muscle spasms, cramps, seizures, anxiety, super linked to magnesium deficiency. So lots of things that can go wrong. And sometimes when these things go wrong, we're not thinking, oh, these things happened over time because I had a nutrient deficiency, are we? So we've established that 90% of people need supplementation. We've established that we're not getting the nutrients that we need from our diets, even healthy diets. So what supplements should we take? If we're going to supplement, are all supplements equal? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. So one of the major differences in supplements out there is that 95% of supplement manufacturers are filling their vitamins with garbage, literally. They're filling their vitamins with things that are actually rocks and ground minerals that your body cannot absorb. In fact, one of the most common calcium supplements on the market, and you should go look at your supplement right now and look to see what's in it, but one of the most common calcium supplements is calcium carbonate. And this is the cheapest and the most commonly used form of calcium, and the body can only absorb about 5% of it. Also, what's really interesting is that the British Medical Journal found that if you're taking a synthetic calcium, it can actually increase your risk of heart attack by 30%. So, okay, we thought we were doing the right thing by supplementing and adding calcium for healthy bones, really important. But then you go and you buy, and you're not knowing, you go and buy calcium carbonate and it's loaded full of rocks, and it can actually cause another problem. It can cause an increased heart attack. It can increase stroke. So when 5% of synthetic supplements are actually being absorbed, only 5% into the bloodstream, the body ends up recognizing everything else more like a toxin. So we need to consume whole food forms of our nutrients, right? So we can only do that in a couple of different ways. Either it's taken raw, right from food, like broccoli, or it's created through fermentation. So you can take vitamin C and you can ferment it, kind of like you do milk into kefir. And then the probiotics and enzymes will make it more absorbable. So only the top supplements in the world actually do this type of whole food-based fermentation. And there's some more literature that I can refer you to read on how this is done and why this is important. But only your top quality supplements do a this type of fermentation that makes the supplements absorbable by your body, so that you're not absorbing just 5% of them and seeing the other 95% identified as toxic in your body. So what supplements do I use? I do get asked what supplements that I take, and I do use the doTERRA line of supplements. And I'm going to tell you why, and I'm going to share with you why I believe these are a foundation for our wellness in our family. But first, let me explain that there are two different kinds. So we have two choices with the Lifelong Vitality supplementation. When we refer to the Lifelong Vitality Pack, we're referring to the bottom image here where there are 3 bottles, and we're going to dig into each of these 3 bottles and what they do in just a minute. The other option is the Daily Vitality Pack, which has 2 bottles. All right, and usually why someone would choose the full complete package, of course, is the 3-bottle system. The 2-bottle system, the reason why people sometimes choose that one is because doTERRA gives a discount on adding any third supplement of your choice when you're checking out. So you get that 3rd bottle at a discount, and some people like to mix and match and use something like the Deep Blue Complex instead of the 3rd bottle that's in the Lifelong Vitality Pack. For me personally, and probably for the vast majority of you, I would recommend the 3-pack of Lifelong Vitality Pack, because it is more, it's designed more for just about everyone, okay? But let's look at the differences between the two, and then we'll go into understanding what's in each of these. So the daily nutrient pack includes the omegas, the XC omega, right? So that's your omegas, and it includes the Microplex MVP. So that is the M and the V stand for mineral vitamins, so vitamins and minerals. So you can imagine so those 2 bottles give you your omegas, your vitamins, and your minerals. So it's designed for everyone for optimal nutrition, wellness, vitality, right? To supplement and give you all the nutrients that you need. The other one, the 3-pack, the Lifelong Vitality Pack, includes both of those plus Alpha CRS. And we're going to talk about what Alpha CRS does in just a second. So as a quick overview of what these 3 things do, let me just give you a very high-level overview, and then we'll dig into the specifics. So the M and the V, mineral vitamin, right? Is a multivitamin. So what this one is a food nutrient complex that provides bioavailable vitamins and minerals. So that means your body can what? It can actually absorb it, right? And what this is, in summary, is it is food for your body. Don't ever think of your supplements ever again as pills. I want you to think of your supplements as food, because that is what they are. And you're not getting the nutrients that you need from food, and we're adding this as additional food to give you those nutrients. So please don't label your vitamins and your supplements as pills anymore. I want you to think of them as food. So the MVP is food for your body. The XE Omega, I want you to think of this as food for your brain. And I also want you to think of it as a fire extinguisher for inflammation in your body. All right, that is the XE Omega, or the fish oils, omegas. They come in both a vegan and fish oil option, but I want you to think of your omegas as food for your brain and a fire extinguisher for your inflammation in your body. And then the last thing is the Alpha CRS. And just as a high level overview, I want you to think of Alpha CRS as food for your cells. And I'm going to explain that again. Again, these supplements are not pills, they are food. So that's why it's food for your brain, food for your body, food for your cells. Okay, so let's go into a little bit more detail, and let's go into each of one of these 3 in just a little bit more detail. So again, Lifelong Vitality is what it's doing is it's providing the energy just as an overview, energy that we need to protect our body, to detoxify our body, to neutralize free radicals, and to help our system avoid inflammation. How is it going to do that? So let's dig into that. So Microplex MVP. This is the food nutrient complex. The most important thing to know about this is the utilization. The vitamins that you'd be taking here are absorbable to get into your bloodstream, and and they can be actually utilized by the cell. So when we use them in that matrix that I explained to you, that fermentation matrix that I explained earlier, we're able to use them in their whole food form so that our bodies can recognize them and so that the cells can actually take those nutrients in and utilize them. So that's what utilization means. It's so important. Again, most supplements out there, 95% of it isn't absorbable. These are. And the reason why is they have a patented glycoprotein matrix, which is what, like I explained earlier, it introduces the vitamin into a culture of probiotics. And then what gets created allows that utilization so that your body can absorb it. And this is really rare. This matrix is very rare, and you really don't find it out there on the market in the supplement world, especially at this price. Okay. All right, let's get into Xe Omega and what it does. So omega-3 fatty acids are really important to balance the amount of omega-6s and omega-3s. So in our diet, typically we should have about a 1-to-1 ratio between omega-3 and omega-6. However, the standard American diet, that ratio is really skewed, and it's more like 20-to-1, where we're getting way more omega-6s than we are omega-3s. And that creates an imbalance that causes inflammation. So when I said earlier, this supplement is like a fire extinguisher for inflammation in your body, it's because it helps to create that balance between the omega-6 and omega-3 so that we can have a healthy inflammatory response. Yes, we can get omega-3s from our food, like wild-caught fish, wild-caught, right? That's going to have going to be better for you than farmed. So wild-caught fish, chia seeds have really great levels of omega-3s. So you can get them from food. However, it is really difficult, and the vast majority of people are deficient in omega-3s. Another really cool thing about this supplement is that it is pre-emulsified. So that means, I want you to think about fats, and some of the fats that we eat are absorbed, but a lot of the fats that we eat are not absorbed, and they just get eliminated in our stool. That's actually normal. You'll see that even sometimes in your toilet bowl. But when you're spending money on supplements, as you would be here, and you're spending good money, you don't want to be flushing those wonderful fatty acids down the toilet, right? So what we have in this particular supplement is they're pre-emulsified. And that means, again, being pre-emulsified, that your body is going to get better absorption. All right. Now, it's not just fish-based. I mentioned fish earlier, and I did mention there is a vegan option if that's for you. I'm not going to talk about that one tonight, but there is a vegan option. But this one is not just fish-based. It actually includes things like pomegranate seed oil, astaxanthin, which is a green algae. It includes marigold flower and lycopene from tomato fruit. It also includes clove essential oil, frankincense essential oil, thyme, cumin, wild orange, peppermint, ginger root, caraway, chamomile. So it's as far as I know, the only essential omega supplement on the market that actually contains essential oils, which is really cool. All right, let's look at Alpha CRS Plus. So this is one of probably the most unique supplements on the market today, I think, in the supplement market, which is why I really encourage you not to just do the daily Vitality, the 2-bottle, but to do the 3-bottle, unless you're swapping this one out for a Deep Blue complex. You could swap this one out for the Deep Blue complex, but I would not just stop at the 2-bottle. I would definitely include the Alpha CRS Plus because it is such a unique supplement on the market. And what it does is it helps to support cellular energy and it helps the body to detoxify, helps to clear up and eat up those free radicals in the body that lead to disease and lead to sickness, right? So one of the things that it does that's really cool is it increases mitochondria production. So mitochondria are the little engines in our cells, the energy makers inside of our cells. And this supplement actually helps to increase mitochondria production. And that makes the whole cellular energy process more efficient. So it helps your cells to create more energy and to create more energy efficiently. So they also contain antioxidants. So when you look at this bottle, I want you to think antioxidants, okay? And why do we need antioxidants? And why do we need anti-inflammatory supplements, which this is? Well, when we talk about disease, what's happening in the body? Well, what's happening is free radical damage and inflammation. That's what's going on. When we see disease, we see free radical damage and we see lots of inflammation. And so what can we do to combat that? What can we do to combat aging? Well, antioxidants. We hear all the time about how important antioxidants are and how we need to eat blueberries, right? That's what this has in it. It has antioxidants, which help to eat up those free radicals that are causing disease. This supplement, as far as the antioxidant protection, if you were to compare it to red wine, which a lot of people say, well, I'm going to have my red wine because it has lots of antioxidants in it, which is, it's kind of true. But guess what? Taking this actually gives you the same amount of antioxidant protection as 4 bottles of red wine. 4 bottles of red wine. So, have your red wine if you want, but this is actually a far better way to get those antioxidants. Okay, this also contains liver protection in the form of milk thistle or silymarin. And it is one of the king herbs out there for detoxifying. It's been shown that it can reach the liver within 20 minutes of ingestion. And that increases your internal antioxidant because your body actually produces its own natural antioxidant called glutathione that's produced in the liver. So milk thistle, which is in this supplement, helps that to work better. So not only are you getting these antioxidants that you're getting in the supplement itself, but you're helping the body to be able to produce more of its own natural antioxidants through glutathione. It also includes boswellia, which is frankincense, not the frankincense oil, but the whole form of frankincense. Acetyl L-carnitine, alpha lipoic acid, coenzyme Q10, so some really good turmeric, so some really good additional botanical extracts in there that are very anti-inflammatory. So as I mentioned earlier, you can do the Daily Vitality and do an add-on at a discount. So what a few people choose to do is to skip the last one that we talked about, the Alpha CRS Plus, and instead add in the Deep Blue Polyphenol Complex. I would say for the majority of people, stick with the 3-pack, but this is another option, and there is a lot of overlap between the the Polyphenol Complex and the Alpha CRS Plus. So you don't need to take a full dose of both. If you wanted, you could do half a dose of each. There are some unique differences. So the Deep Blue Polyphenol Complex also includes the extracts like ginger, curcumin. Curcumin is the main compound or ingredient in turmeric, which I'm sure you've heard is very anti-inflammatory. So ginger, really anti-inflammatory. Curcumin, anti-inflammatory. Resveratrol, super antioxidant. It's got those polyphenols that are very antioxidant. So again, it's going to have a similar use and purpose to the Alpha CRS, where it's targeting inflammation and it's targeting free radical damage or antioxidants. So this is another option. And it has the boswellia extract in it to help with muscle and joints. All right, so this is another option. Okay, so we've talked about nutrients. So we're going to move now out of talking about nutrients and talk about our next bullet point for today, which is talking about enzymes. So enzymes are what we need to be able to break down and metabolize the macronutrients that we're intaking, to be able to break down the proteins, to be able to break down the carbohydrates or sugars, to be able to break down the fats. So interestingly, I believe, and many people do as well, that the lack of enzymes are one of the biggest deficits that we have in our Western diet. And that it is leading to so many degenerative diseases of our day, right? So what are some of the big degenerative diseases that we see today? What about autoimmune disorders, cancer, cardiovascular issues? Dr. Howell was a pioneer years ago in studying enzymes. And he said that disease started when man discovered fire and started killing food enzymes with it. So, kind of an interesting perspective. But really, truly, it is that heat or processing process that actually does kill the enzymes that are in our foods. So, for example, you get a raw, fresh apple off the tree, you eat it. There are enzymes, wonderful enzymes in that apple to help to break down that food in the body so that your body can absorb it. But let's say you eat broccoli. If you eat it raw, great, it's going to be loaded full of enzymes. But if you steam the heck out of that broccoli first, you're going to kill all of the enzymes that are in that broccoli. So it will actually, anything that you do that cooks or heats that food up over around, I don't think it's a little bit debated, but 116, 117 degrees, somewhere in there, is going to start to kill off those enzymes. Okay. And when you cook or chop or process or buy packaged food, it's going to be dead food in terms of its enzyme content. It's not going to have enzymes in it. So how do we eat today? We eat processed, we eat cooked, we nuke, and this is how we eat. And it is probably the truth that this is to some degree, that is when we started to see disease, and that this is a huge root cause of why we are seeing so many of these degenerative diseases in our day. And the way that Dr. Howell explains that is that when we require our body to make these enzymes because we're not getting these enzymes from our food, and when our body has to manufacture them in order to be able to digest our food, we are robbing more important needs for enzyme activity in metabolic processes, because every single transaction that takes place in every single organ requires them. And when we steal enzymes from where they belong, we create cell damage. We create burnout. We create aging. We create early death. And so enzymes are really super important. So unless, when we talk about supplementation, we have to talk about enzymes as well as vitamins and minerals, because unless you are eating a 100% raw diet that's full of, fruits and vegetables loaded with enzymes, then most likely the majority of us who aren't doing that need to supplement with enzymes. So this is Terrazyme. It's a digestive enzyme complex that has the enzymes that are needed to break down proteins, fats, and sugars. And an interesting experiment that you could do at home is actually to open, if you have like one of those snack puddings or a bowl of oatmeal, is to take one of the Terrazyme pills, like maybe 2 pills, and open them up and sprinkle over top of the pudding or the oatmeal, sprinkle the contents of the enzyme capsule over top of it and see what happens. And it's really fascinating because that pudding or that oatmeal will actually begin to liquefy. And that's the process that takes place starting in your mouth when you're eating food. The enzyme that is used to digest carbohydrates is called amylase, and it is primarily concentrated in the saliva. So when you start to eat a piece of bread, for example, which has carbohydrates in it, it starts to break down and liquefy in your mouth because of those enzymes. So Terrazyme is going to help support a healthy digestive system. It is help to help process our food. It's going to, when we have food that is enzyme deficient, it's going to give us those tools to be able to process the food. It's going to promote gastrointestinal comfort. It's going to help support healthy production of metabolic enzymes as well. So I think you probably get the point, how important it is to either eat a lot of raw food in our diet, or if we're not, we are robbing from all of those other functions in the body that require enzymes in order to come over to be able to break down and digest our food. So if we want to prevent that, and we want to prevent early death and aging and sickness, adding some enzymes to some kind of dietary enzymes to our meal can be really beneficial. Now, one thing that's interesting, usually you want to take these with food, 1 to 3 capsules with a meal or right before a meal. But when you take these actually on an empty stomach, they have additional benefits. So one of the things that's interesting, you guys have probably heard of something called leaky gut, which happens when there's a lot of inflammation in the lining of the digestive system. And when there is that inflammation, it creates fissures, and those fissures allow for toxins, particles, candida waste, all kinds of things to be able to seep out into the bloodstream. So what's interesting about something like Terrazyme or an enzyme is it will, when taken on an empty stomach, bypass the stomach, be able to enter in through the bloodstream and help to be like little Pac-Mans that go around through the bloodstream and eat up those foreign invaders that should not be in the bloodstream. So one thing that is really interesting, and there was actually a testimonial in our Facebook group just this last week from Patty, who talked about how she had always been highly sensitive to gluten. She couldn't eat any gluten. Well, so she accidentally got some gluten at a restaurant or with friends and realized that she didn't have the same reaction that she used to have. What's interesting about that is oftentimes what we see, not referring to celiac here, I'm just talking about gluten sensitivities, but what we often see is that when we focus on healing and giving the body the tools that it needs, it can heal the gut. When we get rid of those inflammatory foods, when we clean up and the body doesn't no longer sees those foreign invaders in the body and attacks them as though they're a toxin. When those things leak out through the gut, your body sees them as a toxin and goes in and it launches an immune response to go in and fight them. An immune response can show up on our body physically as eczema, as skin issues, as allergies. And this is why so often when someone asks me, what do I need to do for my skin? One of the first recommendations that I make is Terrazyme, because it's going to help that going through there and taking them on the empty stomach to go in and clean up what it is that the body is reacting to. Hopefully that made sense. All right, let's move on and talk about cleanse and waste. Really quickly, we're almost done, and then we're gonna just wrap up by talking about these last couple highlights. So I want to talk about GX Assist. I love this product, and it's a staple in all of our detox programs. So when we do a cleanse, which we usually do in our group about 4 times a year, and we do a guided cleanse with you, this is the first step in any digestive maintenance program. So when you're doing a cleanse, you want to incorporate this, which has caprylic acid, oregano, peppermint, thyme, things that are going to help to get rid of the things that are in our gut that shouldn't be there. Things like candida and certain bacteria that shouldn't be there, or parasites. Clean it up so that we can come in and plant in new good flora, which is so vital for our health. Okay, Zendocrine comes in 2 forms. It comes in an herbal form. It comes in an essential oil blend form. This is a great staple to use on a daily basis, the oil specifically, because it helps the body to be able to naturally detoxify more efficiently. It's going to help support the liver function, help to support the detox organs. It's going to be purifying and detoxifying to the body system. So I like to use Zendocrine oil over the liver, so that's on your front abdomen right under your rib cage, or on the spine, or on the bottoms of the feet. And I like to include the Zendocrine supplement, the herbal supplement, with my detox about 3 to 4 times per year. So a really simple thing you can do to also be able to detox is to add lemon or citrus oils to your water. Just a drop to your water daily is going to provide antioxidants and help the body to naturally detox more efficiently. And this is going to come up again next in our next week's class when we talk about weight control. We're going to talk more about that. So lastly, I want to talk really quick about probiotics. Probiotics, as I'm sure you know, are a really valuable supplement that we can add to our daily routine. Sorry about that. So probiotics help to support and replenish healthy intestinal flora in the digestive tract. So remember how I said we use GX Assist to go in and kind of like rotor-rooter, clean out all the stuff that shouldn't be there? Then we want to go in and we want to plant, like we're planting our garden. We want to plant in good, healthy flora that's going to help the body. It's going to help the immune system. 80 to 90% of our immune system comes from our gut. Our neurotransmitters, our brain, they call the gut the second brain for a reason, because that's where we develop a lot of our neurotransmitters. So this flora is going to help the body to properly filter bacteria and waste before they enter into the body. So really important, really good to replant that good, healthy probiotics and to use that to incorporate some things like sauerkraut, fermented vegetables. Using probiotic supplements are so beneficial for our overall health. So the probiotic that we have available to us is called PB Assist. It's going to help support digestive functions. It's going to create a really unhealthy environment for bad things, and it's a favorable environment for the good things to happen. So when we create an unfavorable environment, we have more ammunition in our gut to be able to fight things like viruses. It's also going to boost GI immunity. So that wraps up our class for today, wherever you are in your time zone. Hopefully I've been able to provide a lot of value for you tonight in realizing how important daily vitality is. And just the definition of vitality is an energetic style or a healthy capacity for vigorous activity. So that's what we want. We want to live longer, but we want to live happily and healthy as we live longer. That's vitality. We don't want to be spending the last 3 decades of our life being miserable. We want to have that vitality in our life as long as possible. And chronic disease and these degenerative diseases of today, they don't start the day that they start. They started years or decades before. And so we really do have a lot of control. And if you think back to that foundation that we're trying to create, and we have so much control over our nutrition and over our exercise. All right, so really quickly, if you're not already taking advantage of the Loyalty Rewards program, please ask me about this or ask the person who invited you, because you could be losing up to about 30% off on your products by not ordering through the Loyalty Rewards program. So you're already getting a wholesale price when you purchase, but you can be getting that 25% discount plus up to 30% back in free product credits. So that would be up to like a 55% discount. So make sure you're taking advantage of that, and you're taking advantage of those free products and the free shipping and all those great things that are part of that program. And if you're interested in learning more about how you can get your oils paid for each month, or how you can even create a supplemental or primary income by sharing and helping other people with their health, definitely reach out to us. We have programs to help you get started. We can come and do classes with you. We can come and do make and take fun events with you to help you learn how to just, help share the oils with a few friends so that you can earn enough, because doTERRA loves to reward the people who share doTERRA with others, and they reward generously through their compensation plans. So ask about that, and we can show you how you can get your oils paid for. So next week is class number 3, and that will be on weight control. We look forward to being with you here again next time. And thank you again for being here tonight. I hope this was valuable to you, and we will see you over in our Facebook group if you have any additional questions. Have a great day.